See,
Because
Vedanta
it's beyond
uses
understanding.
Vedanta uses the idea of, I mean, or at least talks about the idea of illusion with a lot of responsibility,
Right.
because it's not meant to unsettle you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meant to destabilize you.
Right.
There's a difference between dismantling your ego and destabilizing your ego.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If
Okay.
you're not prepared for some of these deeper ideas, then what it will end up doing is it will dismantle, sorry, destabilize, my bad.
Okay.
It will
Yeah.
destabilize, right? So आप ना घर के रहोगे ना घाट के रहोगे. On the one hand, you'll
Mm.
think everything is futile, but you haven't really grasped anything or grasped the higher, right? So you'll be in this
Right.
like spiritual no man's land, and that's not where we want you to be, which is why we're very
Right.
cautious. I think we have spent a lot of time in this now. Maybe I have to speed
Yes.
up now because I have to come out of this Maya talking. I have to come back to some simple concepts because there's only that much our minds can take, especially when we talk about a collective. Maybe individually, someone may be able to relate to it more objectively. Maybe someone will be getting burnt out with the idea. But the idea of Maya is to simply, um, well, it's the ultimate concept. Okay, but Vedanta also teaches you that you have to think at two levels. If you're thinking from the level of the waker exists in the waking world and has to live by the rules of the waking world. A waker can't say ये सब माया है.
True.
The idea of Maya is for the contemplator, the one who is seeking to catapult from the waker to the jnani, to the awakened, to the enlightened. So for that part of you, this idea is given. But you can't live in the waking world pretending to be a jnani or bringing the rules of the sort of rules of enlightenment into the waking world. Think of it like you have to learn the art of being an actor on stage.
Right.
On the stage, the act is all important. On the stage, that's the world. And it's very important you deliver your lines well. It's very important you keep your expressions right. It's very important that you maintain the space, you move around the light properly on stage, right? So for the actor on stage, it's very important that they play their role well. But the idea of Maya is for that fraction of the actor's mind which is trying to conceive what is beyond the stage. So you shouldn't and you ought not to mix the two. If you mix the two, you'll get destabilized, and that's not good. Not only not good for your life out here, that's not even good for your sadhana. It'll take you two steps back. You try to step one step forward, it'll take you two steps back, right? Which is why the emphasis in the Bhagavad Gita on duty. The path of fulfilling your duties to reach is the path to reach me. The way to get off the stage is to play your part on the stage beautifully.
Right.
You know, perform your role without thinking about what next role I will get. Play your part, deliver your lines beautifully without worrying about, oh my god, will I get the next role also? Will I get a better role also? Play your part beautifully. Automatically, you'll come off the stage. Right? So that's the concept of Maya is there to cultivate an objectivity in you, cultivate a detachment in you, right? And it's very important that these ideas are seeded in gradually and not at one go. Also, once it is seeded, it's important that you don't let it completely consume your life. You must say it to your soul softly. Softly to your soul, you must say. You don't go and tell your partner, this is Maya. You're Maya. Not Maya, I'm Rashi. Who are you talking about? Okay.
But deep down somewhere it is inspiring you to think on those lines. What I'm trying to understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In a
And
way,
it's you need to just give it a right
inspiring you to
direction.
see this thought is so powerful that if you develop the ultimate sort of momentum of a Ramana Maharishi, you'll not get up from your seat. Now I have sat here, Divyaji's invited me here. I'm not going to get up until I'm enlightened. That's what Ramana Maharishi did, literally.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it'll take. Now, does that idea scare you? If you're a normal person, it should scare
It
you.
will. It will. It
If
does.
you're either you are faking it or you're extraordinary, like Ramana Maharishi.
No, sir, I'm very
The
ordinary and it's
idea of
scaring me.
Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Just yesterday I was seeing a post on Instagram. Nowadays, spirituality has been giving like it's like chana bhaji. हाँ, ये जप कर लो, ये चांद कर लो, ये 10 बार कर लो, ये रिचुअल कर लो, ये I have attained the third eye. And I really hope that it's true that they have attained something. I really hope. Don't get me wrong. It made me think, am I on the wrong path? इतना बढ़ बढ़ के क्या मैं, you know? If it was so easy, then we wouldn't need all these shastras. We wouldn't need it. There'll be a set of techniques. You know, not to say that they're not needed. Those things are not needed. Right. But you have to move through it gradually. It shouldn't dismantle you. I, whichever word I used. It shouldn't destabilize you. It shouldn't destabilize you. Yes, over a period of time, you change, no doubt about it. You change, but it's like you're slowly eating away at your false self and you're slowly cultivating a higher identity. All at once, it's like a demolition. Can't demolish. You shouldn't also. Okay, I will.
Thank you, sir.
We'll chant from verses 22 to 26, but before that, we'll take the invocation, please. सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. We'll chant from verse number 22 to 26. Okay, it came correctly. I'll chant it once, then you can repeat it. अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जनाः पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्. अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां
ये जनाः पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्.
येऽप्यन्यदेवता भक्ताः यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः tepi mamev kaunteya yajantya vidhipurvakam.
देवता भक्ता भजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्यविधिपूर्वकम्
Aham hi sarvagnya aham hi sarvayajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha na tu mam abhijananti tatvenaschatyavanti te.
अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानां भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु मामभिजानन्ति तत्त्वेनाश्चन्ति ते
नातश्यवन्ति चे नातश्च्यवन्ति ते. Yep. Yanti devavrata devan pitrin yanti pitivrataha bhutani yanti bhutejah yanti madhyajinopi mam.
यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄन् यान्ति पितृव्रता भूतानि यान्ति भूते च यान्ति मद्याजिनोऽपि माम्
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayaschati tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha.
पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो ये भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः.
Great. Okay, we'll start with some leftover questions from the previous class. So, verse number 18, 19, verse number 19, Brahman further proclaims itself as immortality and mortality. Mortality represents change. Question. Here, mortality could be the change brought from birth to death. Why is Krishna declaring Brahman to be death or the change? The phenomenon of death is an experience, so is the self the illuminator of this experience. Is the self the illuminator of this experience? What does this really signify? So look, in verse number 19, all the way from verse number 16, right? He's talking. In verse number 15, what did he say? He said that others sacrificing by the yajna of knowledge, jnana yajna, worship me. So he's talking about what worship means for a jnana yogi. Right? In verse number 15 and 14, what did he say? Always glorify me, striving, firm in your vows, prostrating before me with devotion, ever steadfast, worship me. Verse 14 was a more familiar form of worship we are all used to. ये भजन करो, कीर्तन करो, ये पूजा करो, ये आराधना करो, ये उपवास रखो, ये करो, वो करो. So that is the form of worship we are more familiar with, right? And while that is also very important, verse number 15, he says, there is another worship beyond this also. He says, others sacrificing by the yajna of knowledge, they worship me in these ways. So what are the ways? 15, he said, they worship me as one, the distinct, the manifold, facing all directions. So again, he's bringing the idea of worship to an intellectual level. How does a jnana yogi worship? A jnana yogi worships through their contemplation, nitya anitya viveka vichara. Their capacity to think, contemplate, discern and reflect upon what is real versus unreal, what is permanent versus impermanent. And when you do that, when a jnana yogi does that, that is where growth happens. That is where change in one's way of looking at the world happens. That is where attachment gets dismantled. That is the way in which you relate to some people or some situations or or whatever it is in your life. That's the way it transforms through Nitya Anitya Viveka Vichara. For example, forget anything complicated. Let's take money for example. Someone who's at the very bottom run thinks money is Nitya, money is everything. But the moment they taste a higher experience in life, the moment they expand their horizons of experience, maybe they have a family, maybe they have something more meaningful, maybe they have an intellectual pursuit, right? They'll realize the relative importance of money, that it is not Nitya, right? That's an exercise you have done with your intellect. Nitya versus Anitya. And when you do that exercise, you'll find a way to relate to money. You'll find a way to relate to wealth. You'll develop detachment. You'll develop a sense of control over what money can do to you. Right? And the more you reflect and contemplate upon that. Point is, we don't. Point is, we think it is all important. Right? So, when you do that at all levels, material, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, that's the path of Jnanam. So, 15 onwards, he is elaborating on what is this Nitya Anitya Viveka Vichara. And a very important aspect of that is thinking in contradictions. Because it's very easy for the intellect to think, yes, I've understood it. Yes, this is Nitya, this is Anitya. This is God. Yes, this is written in this scripture, in this verse, this is God. So he's purposely trying to create he's trying to provoke you to think deeper. And which is why the language of contradiction has been used again and again and again and again on the path of knowledge. Almost to show you that it's not, at no point should you think you have arrived at your understanding, because it's beyond understanding, right? So that's why he, in the last couple of verses, first of all, what did he do in verse number 16? He said, I am Kratu, I am Yajna, I am the Svadha, I am the Aushadha, I am every part of this Yajna. In the Vedic times, and even now, we have an idea of what is worship. Worship is performing a Yajna, right? The first thing a Jnani does is they symbolize that. So in the path of Jnana Yoga, he says, I am it all. Not only I am that which is being invoked by the fire, I am the one performing, I am that which is being offered into the fire, right? So there's a symbolism which comes into Jnana Yoga. Then he says, I am everything. I am the father, I am the grandfather, I am that which is to be known, I am the purifier. He gives indicative definitions. Just to give you just like on the highway, a sign will give you an indicative path. Oh, go here.
Right.
Similarly, these definitions are indicative definitions. These qualities, these descriptions are indicative definitions. If you think in these lines, you'll be able to connect with what is God. You'll be able to worship in the Jnana Yogi sense. So, a sense of pervasion, a sense of indicative description, and then contradiction. That's what he's adopting. So that's why in verse number 19, he comes to that path of contradiction. He says, I give heat, I withhold it also. I am the heat that causes water vapor to rise, I am the withholding of heat that causes condensation to happen. Contradiction. Means I am beyond the pairs of opposites. I am beyond the confines of your intellect being able to say, this is it. I am not an object for your intellect to actually say, this is me. I am immortality as well as death. This is where your question comes. Why is he talking about death? Because he says, I am immortality as well as death. What is death? Death is a change. Death signifies this constant mutation of a being from one form to another. So death is the idea of constant change. Death is the way in which change happens. Just like in this living form right now, you are dying at each moment. What you were a month ago is different from what you are today. What you were a year ago is different from what you are today. Should I say what you were 10 minutes ago when you walked into this room is different from what you are today. It may be a fractional change. It may be an infinitesimal change. An older you has died. The moment you left your home, an older you died at your home, it was born out here. So in that vein, in the theory of reincarnation, death is nothing but a change of dress and address, as Shivendra Nagarji says. Death is a change of dress and address. What is the dress? The dress is your body. Your address is your identity, your association. So this individual is simply going from one body, one nama rupa. Because it acquired a certain body, it got a nama and a rupa. It was born as a boy or a girl. It was born as in a certain kind of family, in a certain kind of place. That gives it a rupa, and because of that, it gives a nama. If you're born into an Indian house, you'll be given an Indian name. If you're born into a Russian house, you will be given a Russian name. So everything about you is your rupa, and because of that, you acquire a nama. And this nama rupa lasts as long as between birth and death. And death means death is not the end. Death is dehanta. It's end of this deha, this form. And with the form, the name came because of the form. When the form goes, the name goes. Next cycle, right? So death is this process of change. When you think of it in terms of opposites, the opposite of this change is no change, immortality. Again, thinking in terms of contradictions, I am immortality as well as change. I am beyond the concept of your intellect. Right? Immortality, the idea of immortality exists because change exists. Isn't it? If change wasn't there, immortality wouldn't be a thought. Heat exists because cold exists. Love exists because hate exists. So opposites sustain each other. This world is nothing but a pair of opposites which your intellect is dwelling upon. Worship that which lies beyond the opposites. Jnana Yoga. So, in that vein, he says that I am immortality and I am death. If you bring it down to the various analogies we've given, it's like the rope saying, I am the rope and the snake. The snake is but the rope. So the rope is saying, I am rope and I am snake. Why? Because you've thought that God is just a rope. No. I am beyond your conception. Don't limit me to just a rope and a snake. I am beyond your conception. A rope is just an ansh of me, which is then manifesting as a snake. So this immortal self is just a fraction of me, which is manifesting as a mortal being, which is going through birth and death. Contemplation upon that. Kshara is what is going through death. Akshara is that which is immortal. Kshara is what is going through change. Akshara is immortal. Your body is kshara. Your mind, your personality, your individuality is kshara. In a way. Well, it's kshara. It's constantly going through a change. There is within you the Atman. I'll not call it the solo. The spirit, that identity, that I, beyond name and form, beyond qualification, that is Akshara. I'm thinking like a Jnana Yogi right now. This is worship for a Jnana Yogi. हाँ? अभी तक मंदिर में दिया नहीं जला है, but ज्ञानी योगी की उपासना चल रही है. This is upasana for a Jnana Yogi. I am Kshara, I am also Akshara. I am beyond it. I am Uttama Purusha. Don't limit me to this. He's building up to this idea of Uttama Purusha. He literally used this term shortly. He's building up to it. And that's why he's using this contradiction. He wants you to chew on it. See, either you get it, or if you don't, you understand. I don't understand this. Both is helpful. Both are helpful. Either it's meant to, either you're like, दिमाग की बत्ती थोड़ी तो जली, or you're like, this is,
It's flickering.
and it will. I mean, I always bring it back to my experience. I wouldn't have been able to speak on something like this just off the hat. I would have made up a lot of stuff, and you guys wouldn't have had any idea. Maybe right now also I'm making up stuff.
But you're
Huh?
on YouTube.
You
cannot do that.
Of course you can do that. Everyone makes up all sorts of stuff. Huh?
It's all made up.
Go on Instagram, you'll see half of it is made up. Especially in AI world, it's anyway. So that's what he's saying, right? Okay. I'll move through very quickly with this. Drinking Soma juice, verse number 20, symbolizes conclusion of the ritual. My question, Krishna seems to point out that we are satisfied by drinking Soma after concluding life's goals with unselfish pursuits when we can drink nectar instead of pursuing desireless action. Is this what drinking Soma represents? Drinking Soma represents the bliss and the joy that comes out of yajna. Right? So it's the sort of celebratory conclusion of a yajna. And people reduce it to, okay, drinking, well, somewhat of an intoxicating drink. They still don't know what exactly is Soma. Now they're saying, oh, is it some kind of hallucinogenic, whether it's even hallucinogenic. And I know what hallucinogenics do. Okay. The spirit of functioning, the idea of functioning in a spirit of yajna, the idea of living your life with these values, it elevates your life, it elevates your mind to a state which a psychedelic does. Which a psychedelic does. A psychedelic causes a temporary ego death. This is a permanent psychedelic. What is that beautiful verse from the Gurbani, is it? सारे नशे उतर जाते जब होती प्रभात, नाम कुमारी नानका चढ़े रहे दिन रात. चढ़ी रहेगी ये एकदम. आप इस जप में रहो, भगवान का नाम जपो, मतलब stay aligned to knowledge, stay aligned to आपको चढ़ी रहेगी. He's using this same analogy. You'll be intoxicated. It's a permanent intoxication, right? So Soma, is it a physical drink or is it an elevated state of mind because you have functioned in a spirit of yajna? If I were you, I will take the latter interpretation. Otherwise, you'll keep looking for where is Soma. I want to find Soma. Then you'll call Hanumanji. Hanumanji, you got Chiranjeev for Lakshman. Get me Soma also from somewhere. You'll keep looking all your life for Soma. So Soma represents an elevated state of mind by doing yajna. But he's saying even that is not it. Simply an elevated state of mind, simply being in heaven, simply being in a calm and pleasant and beautiful, serene state of mind is not enlightenment, is not reaching me. Which is why he says, those who perform yajna and drink Soma and do all of this, they reach an elevated, they reach the land of the gods, they reach the realm of the gods, and having exhausted their punya, they come back. जब नशा उतर जाता है तो, एंड वो नशा भी उतरता है, ठीक है. इट्स नॉट लाइक अ साइकेडेलिक जो 4 घंटे, ठीक है, शायद 40 साल रहे आप में, शायद इस पूरे जन्म में आपको कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम ना हो, सब आपके लिए इट्स टेकन केयर ऑफ. यू लिव इन अ ब्यूटीफुल प्लेस, यू लिव अ entitled life, carefree, taken care of. You have 5 butlers at your service. You have a beautiful family. All the stock investments are going well. You entered gold when you had to. You came out of gold when you had to. Now you're entering back again when you have to. It's not a stock tip, huh? Everything is good. That is a state of heaven. He's saying even that is not permanent. That's not the end. But many of us are happy with that. भगवान जी थोड़ी लिफ्ट करा दो, थोड़ा ये दिला दो, थोड़ा इसमें पास करा दो. ठीक है, भगवान कहते कर लो, तथास्तु. I heard of, there's a visa mandir also. You know visa mandir? भगवान वीजा दिला दो, तथास्तु. चलो जाओ आप. अभी आपको लग रहा है कि God is great. Now I'm a believer. देखेंगे 20 साल में God is still great. If you limit your idea, if you limit your world, if you limit your perspective to that, if Soma is all you want, if heaven is all what you want to achieve, he's just cautioning you when the punya runs out. This is the path of the moon, what he's talked about in the previous chapter. The path of the moon. Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhadam Moodamati. Seek the path of the sun. Bhaja Govindam. Right? Okay.
Can I ask something there?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you are enjoying this bliss
Mm.
and you're sort of relatively free of agitation, since that is also mentioned in the verse, what's going to prick you to like sort of seek?
Nothing's going to prick you. That's the reason. That's the reason why the world oscillates between 80-20. You don't deep to the lowest of hells because you're so agitated that you're looking for solutions when you're at 20. And when you rise, you become complacent. You don't go beyond the 80. Nothing is pricking you. You don't seek what is beyond just pleasure or heaven. So again, that complacency causes a sense of arrogance, causes a sense of ego, causes a sense of entitlement, makes you do silly things, it's like this, a king will become absolutely obnoxious and ostentatious.
We see it with everything.
Everything.
Even politics, like
You
empires.
go to Gurgaon. What happens? The first thing that I was watching a small clip on people who have gained a lot of money because of the Jewar airport, the Noida airport that's coming up. Ordinary farmers, maybe who've never seen 6 figures in their life, immediately got 8-9 figures. Within 5-10 years, all finished. All finished. So, a high and a fall.
So then can you really call it punya?
See, that's the whole idea. What is punya? I hinted at it in the last class. Karma is gehra because you have a certain idea of punya, but as actually is what you think is punya actually what is beneficial for you. Shreya versus preya. Preya is that which may be pleasurable, but may not be shreya. Shreyas and preyas. So shreya is that which is truly good for you. It may be difficult. It may be a difficult turn in your life. It may be a challenge. It may be a crisis. But it actually is a shreyas because it is going to catapult you into a new realm. It's going to lift you. As opposed to simply that doesn't mean that shreyas always has to be painful. It can be inconvenient. Going to the Vedanta Academy, living without a fan for 3 years. Where's the pleasure in that? But if you are able to attune to that purpose, you forget about the fan. Doesn't matter, right? So, the more you think about punya, you will realize I don't want to chase punya. I don't want to chase punya and I don't want to worry about papa. Let me think along lines of shreyas, what is truly good for me. And good for me, not what my mind wants. What is good for my evolution, my spiritual evolution. They're two very different things. What my mind wants, what I wish for, what I hope for, that's all in the realm of the mind. Versus what is good for me. What is life guiding me towards. They're two very different ways of looking at your direction in life. So, a certain set of people chase punya and papa and they are caught up in that cycle and they come and they go, they rise and they fall. Come out of that cycle. People who fall into the second category observe the injunctions of the scriptures mechanically to fulfill their particular desires. Verse number 21. People who follow the scriptures mechanically, Second category, follow the injunctions of the scriptures mechanically. Yes, it's everywhere. अरे मेरे को समझना नहीं है क्या है, आप बस कुछ टोटका दे दो, आप मंत्र फटाफट जप करो 40 बार करो, 108 बार करो, कितने बार करो. It's following scriptural injunction mechanically. No one is trying to understand what is the message behind the method. Everything is symbolic, but we break it down to a literal because we don't want to contemplate. And our goal is very limited. You think ये करेंगे तो वो हो जाएगा. Now I don't know if you pray to Lord Indra in Rig Vedic style with whether rain will come. Maybe it will. I don't know. But why do you want rain only to come? Why is your thought only limited to rain? Okay. So you are born to be much greater than just seek for it. And over thousands of years, humanity has solved that problem to a large extent. We've gained a suzerainty over the world, only to help you seek beyond. Right? So it's unintelligent from the perspective of a guru, from a perspective of a jnani, that you're lost in darkness. So it's unintelligent. Not getting the message. It's unintelligent. Even such a beautiful sort of ocean of knowledge has been provided to you, and still you're just scratching the surface. Not even scratching the surface. Okay. Verse number 22. Ananyashintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Ananyashintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate
तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्.
Memorize this verse. If for no other reason, don't tell people you've been to my class if you don't know this verse. How many years have you been attending Gita class? 7 years, 5 years, 9 years. You should know not only this verse, but the number of this verse also. The number of this verse. 922.
This is one of the 5 verses in
Yeah,
Ramsudas ji also.
Chinna Mission का जो
Ramsudas ji का भी है top 5.
So, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, whatever yoga, yoga se hi hoga. All yoga is meant to bring you to a state of constant awareness of divinity, either through the realm of emotion or through the realm of contemplation. What we've discussed in the last couple of verses is deep contemplation on very subtle ideas. Verse number 14 and before that was devotion. Chapter 3 was karma. I'm doing my part to the best of my ability. Let me leave the result to nature. Whatever is meant for me will come to me. Let me play my role. That's karma yoga. That is constantly reinforcing divinity and keeping it in the back burner while you go on with your life. So all yoga, all sadhana is meant to bring you to a state of constant awareness of divinity. Ananya chinta. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate. Without thinking of anything else, ananya chinta. Those who worship me. So far, if you've done the yogas, you fall into this category. If you do karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, and whatever else you pick up on the way, but these 3 are the safe bets. These are large cap stocks. They are not small cap or micro cap or unlisted stocks. You have many unlisted stocks in the spiritual market also. This kriya, that kriya. They are not SEBI approved. Since we are in the midst of such financial people, I'm talking in this language. Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga at the HDFC Bank. Huh? Any fund will have some amount of 8-10% of their money in HDFC Bank. Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana. Safe bets. And it's very important you stay safe. Like we started in the beginning of the class, the idea is not to destabilize you. So gradually dismantle your false identity, but not to destabilize you. So these yogas ensure that you remain stable while you slowly unfold. Right? And if you do that, you will come to a place of ananya chinta. This will be your primary thought. This will be your predisposition. You look at the world through the lens of divinity. That is what ananya chinta means in every thought, word, and deed. Swas mein Prabhu ka naam. Either in the form of a devotional name, or in the form of an intellectual concept, or in the form of a reflection, or in the form of a determination, whatever it is, purity of intention, whatever it is. To those who think of nothing else but me, if you've done the yoga sufficiently, he says, I guarantee you, I grant them yoga and kshema. Ananyas chintayanto mam ये जना पर्युपासते, उपासना, जो उपासना करते हैं, वर्शिप करते हैं, जनः, those people, नित्याभियुक्तानाम, तेषाम नित्याभियुक्तानाम. That's very important. As you said, tied to your yoga, tied to your sadhana is your goal. What is it that you're looking for? Are you simply looking for soma? Are you simply looking for heaven? Or are you looking for union with the Lord? So over a period of time in your sadhana, your idea about what God is changes. The purpose of God in your life changes. God is no longer a giver of punya and remover of papa. In fact, never is it said that God can do this or God is interested in doing any of this. Your whole idea of divinity changes, right? It evolves. Ultimately, pure sadhana is seeking union with the Lord. In a jnani's words, it's seeking reunification with your true identity, with your true self. Union with God will only happen when you let go of the devil. Right? In that sense. Your ego is a false identity. It's a reflection. It's a false reflection. It's a temporary thing which you're clinging on to. So union with God is annihilation of this ego, annihilation of this false identity. So coming to that conviction that this is what I want in my life, seeking that union. In fact, that purity of intention is what will make you go into yoga in a deep way. Otherwise, your worship will be very superficial. So those who with this deep, pure intention of seeking union with me, aapke sharan mein aana, sitting at your lotus feet. They who do yoga, I guarantee them, I grant them, he says, yoga kshemam va amya aham. I convey it, I grant it. So it's an automatic achievement. Now, I grant them what? Yoga and kshema. These two things I give to them. So if you do your sadhana well with the highest of purity of intention, with steadfastness, with dedication, with constancy of thought, he says, this is guaranteed. I guarantee it to you. If a guarantee is coming from the Lord, this evening there's a match in Calcutta. I, like a silly fellow, have bought tickets from, where? Viagogo. You know Viagogo? It's Viagogo? In the US, it's very reliable. In the UK, it's very reliable. Out here, it's... So Viagogo has sent me an email promising me, listen, if your tickets don't come by 10:30, we promise you we will give you replacement. Now, what is the worth of that promise? From Viagogo. No, I've come for you. I have not come for you. The match is incidental, yeah. But really,
My experience with Viagogo is very good actually. They do follow through with their promises for reputation because they charge a bomb.
Mihir, yeah, I totally agree with you. But for someone who is first time into Viagogo, they won't have any faith. I have come to this faith because I have been cheated once
Yeah. Another side.
for World Cup final in
Oh.
Hyderabad, but they refunded me the money. So that's how I know I trust them. But if you were to go to Viagogo for the first time, what is the value you'll place on Viagogo?
No,
The
I
faith,
had.
commitment, I promise you. What? Here they're not even having a proper chat, support assistant, this, that. I'm not able to reach out to any phone number. This is just some shady looking website who's charging me 3 times the money of the ticket. How do I trust them? So when Viagogo gives you a promise, you still have, but when the Lord gives you a commitment, this is not just a Viagogo giving you a commitment. This is Sri Krishna himself saying, I promise you, I will show you, I will grant it. I will come and give you the ticket myself.
I'll take you along.
I'll take you along with me. So I will grant. If you do your sadhana with purity of intention, I will grant you this. Now, what will you grant? Yoga and Kshema. These two things. These two things should be sufficient for you. What is yoga? What is Kshema? And this is where interpretations differ. But if you've got the 80% of this verse, it doesn't matter how you interpret this. Okay? It doesn't matter how you interpret this. In fact, in the commentary itself, Swamiji has given 3 interpretations. Yoga can mean achievement of something which you have not gained. Because yoga literally means to unite, to join. So yoga means something you don't have, I grant it to you. Something you wish for. Right? And Kshema means the moment you get something, you develop the worry of what if I lose it? What if it's taken away from me? Kshema means preservation. So that's one understanding. It's a very simple understanding. Yoga and Kshema. So he says, I'll give you what you want and I'll make sure it stays with you. Means it'll give you a more permanent bliss. Not just an immediate bliss of acquiring something, but a more permanent bliss of sustaining it, of preserving it. Isn't it what we seek? We chase half our lives trying to gain money and the other half preserving it. So, yoga and Kshema. What else can you ask for? Let's get on to sadhana. A second interpretation of yoga and Kshema is yoga is spiritual enlightenment. So, spiritual success, spiritual gain, and Kshema is material gain, material success. So, success on the stage and off the stage. So, it's a reassuring the seeker, hey, you don't have to leave and let go and go into the mountains and, सब कुछ छोड़ छाड़ के. Right here, right now, if you follow this path, this is a way to attain not only material bliss but also a spiritual benefit. So yoga is spiritual enlightenment, Kshema is material benefit. The third is yoga is that journey and Kshema is the ultimate destination. Now it's a long and winding road. The long and winding road. You know the song? The Beatles? Suno isa. That leads to your door. The long and winding road that leads to your door. Beatles didn't write it for God, but I'm singing it for God. The long and winding road that leads me to your door. Yoga itself, it's very important that you sustain on this journey. That itself requires a lot of things to go in your favor, because the entire world is moving against the dream. Everything is pulling you away from it. The world is constantly seeking and rewarding instant gratification. It's not wanting you to think beyond the tip of your nose. It's wanting you to create a sense of dependence in the world. That's all marketing does. Right? So yoga is almost opposed to that journey, and that will require a lot of sangaha, satsangaha, in that sense. So he's saying, I'll grant you that. I'll make sure that you are protected on this path. I'll make sure that things come into your life which will keep you stable on this journey. And really, you need it. Speaking from my own experience, I don't know if some of you are familiar, I've spoken about it in class. When I was getting into this journey, I decided, ठीक है, my folks want me to finish my college and then go to Vedanta Academy. So, ठीक है, let's go to college. And if you've been to an American undergraduate college, Vedanta is the last thing you'll study out there. Huh? Vedanta is the last thing you'll study out there. But people came into my life. I found a Vedanta friend, teacher, 45 minutes away. And I didn't find them in LA. I found them in Chennai, of all places. There's LA and where's Chennai? Oh. The universe will support you. The universe will throw in support, people, clarity, whatever. However, it has its own way of manifesting. So that's yoga. I grant you a stability on this path. And if you continue with your effort, Kshema is enlightenment, the ultimate destination. It will come. So you don't have to worry about, will I get it? Will it happen? Here's the guarantee. You do this, you'll get it. What do you have to do? Ananya Chinte. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paripasate Sham Nityabhyuttana. This is what you have to focus on. The purity of your intention, elevating your goal in life, elevating your vision in life, and getting on to karma, bhakti, jnana. Do this, you won't have to worry. Verse number 23. Yepyanyadevata bhaktaha yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhipurvakam. Yepyanyadevata bhaktaha yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhipurvakam. So, this is expert level guidance. Now, many may not be able to relate to this. Many may not be able to relate to the subtlest idea of God, what we've been trying to talk about, which is why the whole host of Devi Devta have been created in our tradition in the first place. Not as a different God, but as a manifestation of the ultimate God. No Devi Devta is a separate entity. In fact, the entire journey of Hinduism has been a unification and a absorption of whatever idea of divinity a certain tribe or a certain people believed in, and integrating it into the ultimate idea of Brahman, divinity. So he says, even those devotees who, endowed with Shraddha, worship other gods, because you shouldn't feel it's only, because if you have a limited perspective and a limited view, see, we are lucky, we've got the chance to discuss this and understand this so much. Very few people come across this and, have a satsang like this to understand. It's very easy to misinterpret, Krishna is asking me to worship him only. And people's understanding of Krishna also is very, the first idea is to limit it to a human being, an egoistical sort of figure of power who wants, following as such. So he says, no, I'm not saying just the worship the person Krishna. I'm not even saying just worship only this God. No. Even those devotees who endowed with Shraddha worship other gods, they also worship me alone. They are worshipping me alone. It's just that you're at a certain stage of the journey. You have a certain conception of divinity. You have a certain idea of God. Right now you think, okay, God is, if not a person, at least has a certain form. You've not seen it? I saw it in Kailash. Huh? You didn't see it in Kailash? They say he comes, falls from the heavens, And all the Gandharvas also chant and sing and
For a bath in the Mansara.
I'm not saying that is unreal. It's just not perhaps the way in which you imagine it. But it's important for you because that's how you connect with divinity right now. For you, Shiva is a protector. Shiva is one who, keeps you rooted. Okay. For you, Krishna is one who is playing this Leela. Okay. But beyond Krishna, beyond Vishnu, beyond Shiva, beyond all of these are indications, are guides, are like a reflection of that ultimate. For a jnani, even a guru, in a jnana yoga, we worship our guru. For us, our guru is God. But that itself is a reflection of God. It is a via media to reaching that ultimate. So you say, whatever gods you worship with Shraddha, with devotion, with dedication, with utmost commitment, although contrary to Vidhi Purvaka, although contrary to the ultimate guidance of the Vedas, you're actually just worshipping me. What you're doing is worshipping me. Although in the Vedas, you're guided to seek the ultimate. That's why he's saying Vidhi Purvakam, contrary to traditional practice. So, when you look at the word me, it's very important that we don't limit it to the person or the form Krishna. Again, certain sampradayas do that. It's very important we don't do that. Right? One thing is to, because that's not his intention. That's not Krishna's intention also. Right? Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, he's always spoken in two tones. He's spoken to a devotee and he's spoken to a jnani. Right? And when he speaks to a devotee, he purposely uses the pronoun me. He says I, me. Because that's what a devotee relates to. Right? But he doesn't mean the person Krishna. Krishna is Bhagavan because he's gotten over the identity of Krishna. That's what makes him a Bhagavan. If it's just another name and form that we get attached to, then we'll be doing Krishna disservice. So even those devotees who have Shraddha, they are worshipping me alone. Again, what he's highlighting here is that what's important? Shraddha is important. Shraddha is important. And you, on the path of Shraddha, is what will take you to a next level of growth. We'll take one more verse if you allow. No, we'll take this other verse in the next class. Okay, with that thought, we'll conclude today. Another heavy discussion. I felt it. But either you, as I said, either you get it, either a flicker of sort of lights up within you, or you feel a deeper sense of devotion. And both are good. Both have done the job. Right? So with that thought, we'll conclude today. And if there are any questions in the group or even out here, I'm happy to take them up.
Utsupji, I want to ask something.
Anji.
So, yeah. So, talking about devotee versus jnani, of course, in all this while in so many of your lectures and otherwise, I've heard and understood you've highlighted that Shraddha is important. But what I feel is that when we say Shraddha, can we understand is that dissolution of your ego completely? Because if we are talking about a jnani, I mean, I'm just asking that if someone who knows that anyway, like you said, that these are different manifestations, like the different gods, be it Shiva, be it Krishna, they are the idols or the ideals that you know, uh, you know, that we have in front of us, and we dissolve our. And if you are praying with Shraddha, which means you've not allowed your ego there, and you're acknowledging the you know the presence of the Supreme. So does it not? I'm just I mean, so it has to be so much hand in hand, the two, like Bhagavad Gita says, and that both have to be there. Like just a Gyan Yog can't work. You have to have I mean,
So, first of all, let's understand what is Shraddha. Okay, Shraddha is, I'm going to define it for you. Shraddha is simply that capacity within you to come to know what you do not know. Shraddha is that capacity within you to get to the bottom of something, get to the end of it. So, what does that require? It requires dedication, it requires commitment, it requires a constant
Yes.
effort. So, Shraddha is not just blind faith in something, it's that constant endeavor to get closer to your object of faith. So that from faith it can turn into a conviction, and from conviction it can turn into a realization. So that journey from faith or belief to realization, and it goes through several levels. It begins with a certain faith, it grows into a kind of clarity, it develops into a conviction. At each stage, the engine is becoming more and more powerful, and then it reaches a state of realization. So that journey is Shraddha, or to travel that journey, you require Shraddha, however you look at it. Okay, so when you interpret Shraddha in this way, it it in a way turns the question on its head. Right? Now, whether you have Shraddha in a devotional sense, whether you have Shraddha in an intellectual sense, Shraddha is important. Then comes which marga is suitable for you. And everyone requires the various margas depending on their temperament. You may have a certain intellectual quotient, a certain emotional quotient. So basis the combination of the two, you have to take the sadhanas in that proportion. Some people are very emotional. That doesn't mean they don't need jnana. That means they need 10-20% jnana. Only that which reinforces their emotion. Very, very interesting. They said, they sort of, like an emotional person will get very excited also when they learn something new. So, 20% knowledge, 80% emotion for a devotional person. For a jnani, 80% knowledge, 20% devotion. One who is on the path of knowledge is more aligned to relating to or feeling connected to the divine through some of these scriptural injunctions or some of these scriptural concepts. So they'll read this Upanishad, they'll read that Gita, they'll read this Vedanta textbook, Vedanta Sara, etc. etc. 80% of their sadhana will be knowledge, little bit of kirtan, bhajan, little bit of poetry. Maybe they'll themselves write some poetry. I don't know, whatever they'll do. Depending on your constitution, you have to cater to your mind and your intellect. Devotion is food for your mind, knowledge is food for your intellect. You have to feed both. Now, what is the strength and propensity of your mind? What is the strength and propensity of your intellect? It varies. For most people, for the majority of people in this world, emotion is far greater proportion than knowledge. But emotion and not devotion, huh? I'm not talking about bhakti, because bhakti is all encompassing. Bhakti is the result of your sadhana. I'm not talking about bhakti. Emotion is a longer path, it's a more confusing path. Knowledge is a much more direct path. But you can't say, I want knowledge. It depends on your constitution. It depends on what, how strong is your engine. If your engine is only 1000 horsepower, there's only that much you can do. Right? Sure, you can slowly cultivate your engine, you can slowly build your engine. That's a different thing. But you need both, because they cater to these two wondrous tools you have. They cater to your mind, which feels emotion, and this caters to your intellect, which thinks, reasons, judges, understands, contemplates. Right? Always stay wary of people who champion one and dismiss the other. Both ways.
Mm.
If you come across a jnani who's a mad people doing bhajan, kirtan, crazy fellows, look at them jumping around like clowns. Thank you so much for your knowledge. Bye bye. Take the knowledge from them and leave.
Mm.
If someone says, all these Vedanta people, all they talk, I am Brahman, you just have to feel it. Okay, thank you so much. I enjoyed feeling it with you. And leave. Got it. So you need both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Question. So in the 22nd verse,
Yeah.
thinking of nothing else. So what does that really imply? Like, at one level, like, the seeker within you who's seeking union, he's just thinking of nothing else, but the actor, he's still like having to think of, his next line and everything else as well, right? So
There's a beautiful analogy which comes in several places, and he uses it in the Vedanta treatise also. He calls it Shruti. Shruti is the whenever especially when you're playing some classical music, there's a note in the background that your ear is attuned to while you're playing the strings, or while whatever you're playing, whatever instrument. So even though you are speaking your lines, even though you're playing your instrument, there's the most important aspect is remaining connected to that Shruti. Otherwise, even the playing of the lines will, sort of fall out of place, right? So you develop a capacity to, you see, people call it alignment, people call it awareness, people call it connectedness, however you want to say it, right? But that's the art. The art is having the thought in the back burner always, while you're engaging and interacting with the world in whatever way right now. That's the art. Thinking of something else means you've totally forgotten about this and you've gotten consumed in something else. Gotten completely mesmerized and forgotten that this matters or this is important or this even exists. And it's very easy to do that. It's very easy to get completely sucked in. So many people, they spent years and years studying Vedanta. They've dedicated some of their youth in the Vedanta Academy or such places. But life catches up with them. 5 years in the world and they're completely absorbed. So their minds become completely preoccupied. And 10 years later, they wake up and they say, oh yeah, there's something about the self that I read about when I was younger. You have to reach the self. And it becomes like and you'll be surprised. The moment you get absorbed in something, time flies. Right. So when he's saying think, always thinking of me, thinking of nothing else, means not getting consumed in anything else. While you're delivering your lines, you're always connected to your truth.
So as you say that always awareness of the divinity.
Correct.
But some people still tend to like sort of obsess over something for a short period. It's just about the capacity and how quickly you can pull yourself back.
See, there is no quantum, oh, you should stay away from the world or you should not obsess about something, because everyone has a different expression. So, which is why we don't quantify it. We don't say, oh, to live a certain kind of life where you only contact the world a little bit. No such thing. Renunciation is not about limiting your contact with the world. But when you have a constant thought of divinity, what that does is, beautiful word in English called predisposition. You become predisposed to looking at things in a certain way. That divine awareness trickles into the way in which you even perceive the world.
Instant gratification.
When you look at the world and when your awareness is very gross, you look at someone and something in a very gross manner. You'll be quick to judge, you'll be very dismissive, you'll have tamasic knowledge, seeing a part and concluding the whole. When you're somewhere in the middle, little bit of information you have, but the message hasn't truly soaked in, when the awareness truly hasn't become permanent, then you'll have rajasic knowledge. Rajasic knowledge is seeing the diversity in the unity, failing to see that we are one and bringing about differences and focusing on that and creating a sense of competition, a competitiveness, a differentiation. When awareness is permanent, when awareness is well established, it trickles into your perception in a way that you perceive the way in a sattvic manner. What is sattvic knowledge? Seeing the unity in the diversity, recognizing the depth in anything, recognizing that beyond the surface there is such a wonder, right? So naturally that will reflect in the way in which you interact, how patient you are, how kind you are, you know, even while being completely engaged, how objective you are, how poised you are. All of this will be a reflection of that awareness. Right? Makes sense?
Uh,
Rituji.
Utsavji, can I take it further? The question that I was asking.
Please.
Uh, uh, so, is it okay to understand that Gyan, I mean, is equal to knowledge and acknowledgement of the Supreme? I mean, that's the Gyan. I mean, you have it or you don't have it is a different thing. So
Knowledge and
just
acknowledgement of the Supreme.
knowledge and the acknowledgement, yes, that of the Supreme, as in you are, as in there is this one entity which is Supreme, the Brahman.
It is a contemplation on that. Calling it Brahman is one thing, but
Okay.
doing a Viveka Vichara on that. So you're absolutely right. Knowledge of the Supreme is Jnana Yoga, acknowledgement of the Supreme is Jnana Yoga. But how does that manifest? It manifests in the form of your intellect constantly contemplating upon it. Nitya versus Anitya. Supreme versus transient. Real versus unreal. Nitya means that which is real, that which is permanent, that which is true. What is true about Ritu? Is the body true about Ritu? Is Ritu's personality true? Is the name Ritu true? Is it Nitya? And yet we feel a permanence. What is that permanence? So within Ritu there is Nitya and Anitya. What is Anitya and what is Nitya? Contemplating about that. That journey itself will take you to the ultimate enlightenment. That's the path
True.
of.
No, so
Let
that's
me
the
let me turn
way.
it on its head. What is bhakti? I'll give you a different definition of bhakti. Okay, which will make you feel like, Are, you said that about jnana only. Bhakti is an awareness of the splash of divinity around you. Nothing
So,
else.
Utsukji, I just was jotting down my thoughts so that I can convey that in a clearer manner. So then I have written bhakti is then equal to that I am not my ego. So the reverence.
Yes. Bhakti is an evolution of that awareness. See, first it
So
is,
that is the, I'm sorry, but that is the way forward. I mean, भक्ति मार्ग क्या है वो है और ज्ञान मार्ग क्या है वो है बट ज्ञान क्या है भक्ति क्या है अगर उसकी बात करें सिंपली दैट मच सो
ये तो मार्ग ही है. दे आर नॉट सेपरेट फ्रॉम द मार्ग इटसेल्फ. ऐसा कोई ऑब्जेक्टिव चीज नहीं है भक्ति. भक्ति इज सिनोनिमस विद भक्ति मार्ग. ज्ञानम इज सिनोनिमस विद ज्ञान मार्ग. जब ज्ञान आ जाए तो आप एक हो जाते हो. जब भक्ति हो जाए तो आप एक हो जाते हो. दोनों मार्गों का जो डेस्टिनेशन है वो एक ही है. दैट इज वननेस विद डिविनिटी.
एब्सोल्युटली
So if you
एब्सोल्युटली
want to say what is bhakti, bhakti is that connection. What is jnanam? Jnanam is that connection. That's what it is.
ट्रू
But the reason they're called a marga is because bhakti trains your mind. Or bhakti is food for your mind. It is fodder for your mind. Whereas jnanam is fodder for your intellect.
So that's true. So when I am doing my puja, let's say, which is a little one step of bhakti, for example, if would fall in that bracket. So I'm doing puja and with devotion because I realize that I'm such a minuscule entity, or rather, I'm nothing, and I am bowing to the Supreme.
So that's one level of bhakti, right? Who is a who is an asura? An asura is one who but as opposed to an asura is a divine person. A divine person is one who acknowledges there is a divinity. And that's what you do in your puja. You acknowledge that you are a part of a whole. You are a
Yes.
आप एक अंश हो, right? That's a certain level of growth. Okay. But अभी भी आप भेद कर रहे हो. अभी भी आप डिफरेंशिएट कर रहे हो आप में और भगवान में. जब वो भी मिट जाए, that is the ultimate attainment of bhakti.
तो
The ultimate attainment
उत्सव
of
जी
bhakti is that.
तो आप
But
क्यों डिफरेंशिएट कर रहे हो आई एम सॉरी आई मीन आई डू विद माय पूजा विद अ लॉट ऑफ इट calms me a lot it is very
जब
good an
तक ऋतु
exercise for
है
me
तब तक डिफरेंशिएशन होगा. जब ऋतु मिट जाए, मैं नहीं
uh,
हूँ, अप ही अप है.
नहीं मैं ऐसा कह रही हूँ उत्सव जी कि uh, भक्ति हम करते हैं अगर हम सोचते हैं कि देयर इज नो डिफरेंशिएशन राइट देन व्हाई भक्ति फॉर एग्जांपल this is not to say that I don't do bhakti. I mean, I'm just trying to understand in my mind
What are you trying to understand?
that do we do bhakti or do we do puja for a layman like me to understand that I do my puja to surrender my ego? Is that right?
Yes. I mean, among other things, आपको
But
बोला कि
it
ये
is,
पूजा करो,
it
ये हो
is,
जाएगा, वो पूजा करो, वो हो जाएगा. But among
नहीं,
other
वही,
things,
वही,
one of
no,
the
so
biggest intentions in puja is this, correct?
yes, that for me, I think about it very often. I do my puja session is the most peaceful part of my day anyway. But I'm not sure, like I'm only sure that I do puja uh, because I believe I have this gyan, let's say, or I believe in this gyan. I'm not saying I have this gyan. That would be too big a thing to say, but I'm convinced that I am nothing, let's say. At least that much I know. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So that's why you do puja.
puja.
Good. That's a very good state to be at. That's a very
Okay.
I mean, if that's the purity of thought with which you do your puja, that's very good. That was the question.
Yes, because then I was like wondering, although I do my puja, it's not to say that what I'm doing or why I'm doing, not to get an answer there. But then I often or sometimes feel that in that case, अगर आप वैसे confident हो, तो फिर भक्ति की क्या जरूरत? If you're sure that and that if you're not possessed with
Your
ego,
mind, आप ये बात समझो, एक तो है कि हम बहुत चीजें करते हैं, एक रीति है, right?
exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
So it's very important. Now, I'm not saying something is right or wrong. It really is what your personality, your constitution needs to connect with divinity. Some people may not need puja.
Hmm.
They may not. In fact, they don't. There is the extent to which the Jnana Marga is established in you, you won't need puja. I remember Swamiji once said this one thing. After a point, any outward practice becomes a distraction. Even your bhakti becomes internal.
True.
There's no more an outward form that you necessarily. So it's all a part of the evolution. It's all a part of the journey.
Yeah.
You
So, but
may
then,
you may grow out of it, or it may change why and what that practice means for you may change over a period of time. That's totally fine.
so
Yeah,
like you give the example of Swamiji. So the bhakti anyway is right there, no matter how you do it. In that case,
correct,
how you express it or practice it,
correct,
right?
absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, Hari Om. We'll see you. I can smell the puris. I think it's time to say bye bye.
Sambar.
Huh?
Hari Om.